All right. Good evening, my colleagues, and good evening to the people of Guam. We are the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, Housing is back from recess, and we're going to start with we have an amendment from Senator Sabina Paris. If you can go ahead and read it, it's from page 71, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the amendment is in the drive as well as on the Zoom chat for those that can follow or those that would like to follow. So let me just read the amendment. It's to add a new item to subsection R, Chapter 5, to the bill to read, notwithstanding Article 3, Chapter 51, Title 10 GCA, or any other provision of law, rule, or regulation. Guam EPA is authorized to expend revenues from the Recycling Revolving Fund in excess of the amount estimated in Section 2 of Chapter 1 of this Act for fiscal year 2021, as well as, what does that say?
As well as any
unexpended balance of funds prior to fiscal years. So the idea is that basically what Guam EPA can do is only spend up to what's appropriated. So if there's any continuing appropriations that have not been appropriated, they would have the ability to expend those funds in excess of what's currently appropriated this year, as well as what was in the fund in prior years. And
all right.
This ensures that they can utilize those funds. They have access to those funds.
All right. Thank you, Senator Paris. Does anyone want to speak to that? Because that sounds like that's one of the normal things we've done with most agencies. There being no handshaking.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Steve.
If I can ask the Senator Paris, maybe if you want to look at Chapter 13, Part 2, Section 11 of the bill, there is a provision there that allows
what page number is that, Steve? What page is that?
Chapter 13, Part 2, Section 11. That would be on page. I'm getting it. Okay. You got it. Chapter 3 would be on page
119.
Who's that day in the background?
124. 144, sir.
144. Okay. What can, if you can please read it out so that everybody will know that it takes care of EPA.
Okay, it starts on page 143.
Right.
Okay, so Section 11. It starts out with funding source. It says the following departments are authorized to expend up to the level of revenues collected for the respective special revenue funds for fiscal year 2021 and unexpected carryovers in revolving funds authorized by law only for the purpose authorized by statute for these funds. If you go all the way down to letter D. Guam Environmental Protection Agency. The Guam Environmental Protection Agency funds, recycling revolving funds, air pollution control special funds, Guam Environmental Trust funds, pesticide management fund, water protection fund, and water research and development fund. All those funds would be authorized to carry over and use for unexpended. So I'm not too sure if this is the same chant that Senator Paris is proposing. I just wanted to note that.
Oh, wow. That's good that we have it there. Then it allows it to carry over instead of having to add it. That's under the administrative provisions of Chapter 13, my colleagues.
And just for information for the other senators, if you look at this page starting 143 to 140, I believe 145, it lists various agencies allowing that in that certain provision to carry over the unexpended and the fiscal year up to the level of fiscal year 21 revenues and unexpended carryovers.
Steve,
which is a catch-22. Yes, Madam Speaker?
Yeah, just as a point of inquiry to the OFB director, if I may, if this amendment notwithstanding is on, does this supersede and take away from anything else that's already on? That's already in the bill? This-
Well, you don't want to duplicate it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying not to do, is just to not to duplicate it. Whether or not it has the same intent, I'll leave it up to the respective senators with their amendments, but I think this is kind of a cat's ball for everything that we're trying to do. Authorize them to use anything above the estimated revenues and or any carryovers.
So the next inquiry I'd like to ask, Mr. Chair, if I may, was this
Yes, please.
similar to what's already in the bill? Was that similar to the provisions that were done in the last fiscal year? So just for me, just to make sure that if that was already done like last fiscal year, the fiscal year before, then I guess it works all those fiscal years. I'd like to keep that component in instead of this
Yes.
one.
Yes,
It was in last year's, it's in FY 2020 law.
and I think my colleagues, one of the beauty of this one is to protect EPAs, like what Senator Sabina is trying to do, and it also does that for public health. There's a bunch of agencies, folks, when you get time, just look at it so that we don't want to just repeat it. I mean, it's going to do the same thing, but we'll end up having to go in the budget and start lining them out because you got it in that part. So it's a matter of, it catches everybody.
So,
All right.
point of inquiry. So Steve, just to clarify, so, as far as, so I guess one of the staff was telling me that they thought that they can only spend what's appropriated in the bill and not necessarily what's been accumulating. So this would answer that. Is that correct? Whatever is accumulated in that fund, they can still spend in addition to what's appropriated, as well as what's in excess of projected revenues. Is that correct? With this language in section 11 on page 143 and 144, does it cover all of that?
That is the intent of the language, Senator.
Okay, so just wanted to make that clarification. So in that case, yeah, I don't want to duplicate efforts if it's going to cover current projections plus excess of projections plus what's in the fund that exists. Is that correct?
Yes, any unexpended balance carryovers. So that you can assume is whatever's in the fund.
Okay, and plus excess of what we appropriate.
That's what the language says, yes.
Just to clarify, okay, then I withdraw my amendment since I don't want to duplicate.
All right, and I would just remind my colleagues every now and then, just turn to 143 and 144 so that when we get to that agency and you're concerned, it's like customs that's coming up and everybody else. If they're not there, then then add it, okay? So that we'll just move along and we'll be good to go. So there's a motion to withdraw. Are there any objection?
No
No objection. We would still have to vote on it as required. Joe, a quick roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the withdrawal of the amendment proffered by Senator Perez for page 71, Chairman San Agustin?
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rogel?
Aye.
Vice Chair Rogel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton?
I'm good.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz-Barnes?
I'm good.
Speaker Munoz-Barnes, aye. Senator Lee?
I'm good.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi?
I'm good.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Pino Talahi?
Pidu, are you there?
Senator Pino Talahi? Sir, I believe we just lost him. We'll monitor him to get him back on.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Senator Marsh-Titano?
Okay.
Senator Marsh-Titano, aye. Senator Castro?
I'm good.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan?
Aye.
Senator Moreland, aye. Senator Munoz.
Again.
Senator Munoz, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitugui.
Again.
Senator Taitugui, aye.
Oh, there's Senator Peter.
Senator Pito Talahi. On the motion, sir, to withdraw the amendment proffered by Senator Perez.
Everybody voted for it.
Again. Thank you. Senator Pito Talahi, aye. Mr. Chair, the motion garnered 15 ayes.
Thank you, my colleagues. The motion passes. We will now move to page 72. And on page 72, we do have an amendment by Senator Lee. And it's all in reference to when we did the increase of the manpower. And all she's doing basically is putting the money where, what we did on chapter 1. Senator Lee, please, if you could read your amendment, please.
Sure, Mr. Chair, just 1 minute. I'm going to pull it up.
Yeah,
Just
and
one.
it's co-sponsored by Senator Amanda Shelton. Because it's also to give money to GCC, and I think that was taken care of, right? All
Right,
right,
I'm going to
okay.
try to pull it up, but if you can add it to the chat, that would be helpful as well.
All right, Joe, if you can add it.
Yes, sir, working on that right now.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll just remind our colleagues that this is based out of the increase that we agreed to in the Manpower and Development Fund. And so this is the companion amendment. 70% of the Manpower Development Fund goes to fund efforts at the Guam Community College. And then this 30% goes towards the Department of Labor to assist them with the alien labor program and just kind of monitoring H2 and those types of things. And so again, as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, this is an amendment by myself and Senator Amanda Shelton to lines 1 to 5, page 72, Department of Labor appropriation. So instead of the sum of $2.4 million, the new sum is $2,896,821 is now appropriated to the Guam Department of Labor for its operations for fiscal year 2021. This sum is composed of $1,516,821 from the general fund, and then it strikes out the old number in favor of the new number, which is $1,380,000 from the Manpower Development Fund. It also updates the total from $2,476,821 to a revised total of $2,896,821. And I want to thank my colleagues for their support of the initial increase to the Manpower Development Fund and then this subsequent increase to the Department of Labor. As we know, it's especially critical at this time for the Department of Labor to have as many resources at their disposal as possible to really help the tens of thousands of folks in our community who are now experiencing unemployment and needing these very critical resources. So I thank my colleagues in advance for their support. Tudu Asmasi.
All right, thank you. Does anyone would like to speak to this? This is approximately $420,000 increase. Senator Amanda Shelton, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to rise in support of the amendment. We know how hard the Department of Labor is at work right now. They've worked diligently to set up the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. They continue to carry out their other duties at the department. They're displaced workers. program, and so much more. And we know that this additional funds will help them to continue their duties and their mandates by law. And we're just very thankful to the department for carrying us through during this time and ensuring that we are availing of all the federal monies available to us and passing that on to the people in need in our community. And with that, I'd like to thank the author of this amendment for working together so that we could see this increase in projection for the Manpower Development Fund through, and subsequently for the Guam Community College and the Department of Labor to ensure that we have a healthy, a strong local workforce.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else like to speak? I don't see any hands up. We will now move. Will you close Senator Lee? Oh, Senator Therese, please.
Not on that amendment.
Not on that amendment. Okay, Senator Lee, if you can go ahead and close on this amendment, and then we'll move to vote.
Sure, Mr. Chair. And I again want to thank my colleagues. Thank you to Senator Shelton. Again, we opt for a measured approach here. We had a new projection of 2,300 workers, which boosted the Manpower Development Fund. And again, this increase will go directly to help train local workers to gain the skills that they need to fill these jobs with Guam residents rather than foreign citizens. And at this time, Mr. Chair, I'd really just like to give a huge shout out to the Guam Department of Labor, Director Dave De La Sola, and all of his team, especially Greg Massey, who came down and provided input for these amendments and gave us additional information. I really want to thank them at this time and thank them for all of their hard work to ensure that PUA and FPUC and all of these federal programs go out to the people who really need them. Thank you very much, colleagues.
All right, thank you. Joe, would you take the roll call, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment proffered by Senators Lee and Shelton, Vice Chair Shelton, for lines 1 to 5 on page 72, Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rangel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rangel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Pito Talahi.
Again.
Senator Pito Talahi, aye. Senator Marsh Titano.
Again.
Senator Marsh Titano, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moreland.
Aye.
Senator Moreland, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitugui.
Again.
Senator Taitugui, aye. Mr. Chair, the motion garnered 15 aye votes.
Thank you, colleagues. The motion passes. The amendment will be engrossed into the bill. I don't see any other amendments for the Department of Labor. All right, Senator Therese, do you have one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, but you moved on to Department of Labor before I was finished with Guam EPA. I just want to bookmark one section of the Guam EPA. If we're done with Department of Labor, it's page 71. It's subsection 3 regarding beach monitoring. It's an appropriation from the Tourist Attraction Fund of $46,000, and this is to monitor the beaches for.
Yeah, make sure they're safe. Yeah.
Yes, correct. But this used to be 108,000, and so I'm worried about the impact of cutting this by almost half. And so I just want to bookmark that in case we can find some more funds to put there, Mr. Chair. This is to EAF, right. So I understand why you cut it, but I think we have to be concerned about that. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Senator Tello? Senator Tello, yes.
Okay, we're on Department of Labor still?
Yeah, we just need to finish up first the bookmark. They asked because we were just about almost just actually done with labor. But okay. Senator Therese asked because she wanted to do a bookmark on EPA on page 71. And
I
then,
just have a
and then we'll go back to the Department of
Okay.
Labor. Okay?
Okay.
So, are there any objection to the bookmark on page 71 in case there's funds found somewhere to take care of our beaches? And then we can ask Steve about that as when we come back on the bookmark. Okay? All right. Thank you. Now that would complete. I don't think there's a need for a vote. Yes, Senator Lee? Senator Lee?
No, I'm sorry, that's fine on the bookmark, no objection.
All right, there are no objections, so page 71 is bookmark. Joe, please take a note of that. Bookmark page 71, section or number 3, then which is line 1. All right? Yes, Senator Lee?
I apologize, Mr. Chair. I submitted another amendment for Guam Department of Labor on page 73. It's page
Okay,
79,
right.
11.
I was gonna go to the next page, but okay.
Thank you so
but-
much for placing
but,
that.
But if we could, Senator Lee, Senator Tello was gonna speak about something. I'm not too sure what it was, and she did have her hand up immediately after to speak. Senator Tello, where did you go?
I'm right here.
There you go. Okay, I'm just looking because
Mr. Chair.
the screen moves around fast.
Yeah, so since we're still on 72, before going to
Yes.
73, I just have a question to Steve. Steve, I noticed that compared to last year's appropriation, and this is before the amendment that just recently happened, it's showing a $313,218 increase. Can you tell me how that happened? I mean, mostly all the agencies are getting cut. And this is before the manpower development was increased. So I'm just wondering, why is that? What happened that this agency got an increase of appropriation from 2020 to 2021's budget bill?
Steve, you got an answer, a response to that, please? You have to unmute your computer so we can hear you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, the increase was due to the increase in the Manpower Development Fund before the 1.4 million was added on. So there was an actual increase in the Manpower Development Fund. So this was part of that initial increase. And since
Earlier
the increase in the
increase.
Manpower Development Fund is only distributed between GCC and DOL, that's why it went up.
Oh yeah, that was the initial, the first 1,000. Senator Tello, you need to unmute, please.
So the last in 2020, where it says Manpower Development Fund, what was the number? I'm trying to look at it right now, but you're probably faster than I am, Steve.
The amount is 1.893 million.
For Manpower Development?
Yes.
Okay, but Manpower Development in this bill says 960,000. So how, I mean, the amount went up 313,219. If you say it went up because of the Manpower Development.
Initial projection, yes.
Okay, because last year I'm trying to look at it real quick to find last year's. What does it say, Steve? 2020 Manpower Development Fund, what was appropriated? 2020.
For the Manpower Development Fund is
2020.
$1,893,000. That
And
is
then
the
what is it?
total. That is
Okay.
the total for the Manpower Development Fund.
Okay, and then what is the total now for 2020? Is that 960,000, or we're not including something here?
The total for the Manpower Development Fund right now, not including the 1.4 that we just did,
Right.
was $3,200,000.
3,000,002. Okay, so I don't see. Okay, I'm just looking at the Manpower Development Fund on page 72, and it's showing 960,000. So it must be.
That's only for Department of Labor's share of the Manpower Development Fund.
Right, and last year in 2020, what share did Department of Labor get?
I can get that for you in a second.
Okay, yeah, even me, I'm trying to scan through this really quick.
What?
Into my own question.
It's $567,900.
So there are a lot less.
Okay, did you get that number?
But I'm sorry, Steve, I didn't. You got cut off.
What's the number?
5.
$567,900.
Okay, now I
And
see the
and
difference.
then-
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Senator Lee, did you want to comment or anything? You were waving your hand, ma'am.
Yeah, just a point of information for my colleagues. Also, we were able to pass a bill last term, and the funds weren't realized until last year. And so that's why we're experiencing big increases in the Manpower Development Fund, because we doubled their fee from $1,000 to $2,000. And that helped us to bring in an additional $4 million in annual revenue, pending all of the military construction contracts that are, and, alien labor that comes in because of those construction contracts. So I want to thank my colleagues from the 34th legislature for helping us to get that through. And we're now realizing and reaping the benefits of that measure that was
Right.
passed by the 34th and supported by Governor Calvo. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. So we're done with page 72. I think somebody waved a hand for something for Department of Labor. Anything else for Department of Labor? Otherwise, we're gonna move from Department of Labor and we're gonna consider that closed and we're gonna go to page.
On page
I heard
70,
somebody in the background.
Sorry, we had a-
73. You have an
continuing
amendment?
yes.
You have an amendment? Oh,
one-
okay.
I just
Oh, there you
realized
go.
that the one that I submitted also includes MDF. And since MDF is noted, as Mr. Guerrero had mentioned towards the end of the section, along with all the other respective special fund revenues for fiscal year 2021, we submitted an updated amendment to to OFB. So that's the one that should be coming through. And
Okay, is that the one that notwithstanding when it's ready on the page, I guess from 144, Department of Labor and Guam Community College is also loaded on 145, letter O, line 12, just to let you know.
yes.
That's the
so
one that the unexpended?
Yeah, so this one is actually focusing on the funds from fiscal year 2020. And so we're the language that we're using doesn't include MDF.
It doesn't, Steve, maybe you can bring clarity to that as you said on chapter 12, 143 into one, and it's on 145, Department of Labor and Guam Community College Manpower Development Fund is listed. Did you make clarification on that one? We want to make sure that it covers what our amendment is intended to do. You have to unmute, Steve.
Yes,
Sorry.
Senator.
Amendment
The section that I noted earlier on page 143, section 11, line 25, references these departments that have special funds that are specifically only to fund those agencies.
Right.
These are the only funds that are listed in this section of the law that authorizes them to spend up to the level of revenues collected for the respective special fund revenues for fiscal year 2021 and unexpected carryovers in revolving funds. Yeah, so that you can find for Department of Labor on page 145, letter O.
Yes, thank you so much. So this amendment, and I'm just pulling it up and putting it into the chat right now.
Okay, and that's the one that's identifying, Senator Lee, the 2020. And Steve, does that cover 2020 on page 145 from 143 on? That the funds from 2020 is automatically carried over because it's special funds for them only, the manpower. We just want to make sure it's covered. And if it's covered, the amendment won't be needed.
I'm assuming that the language where it indicates unexpended carryover balances in revolving funds would include 2020.
So,
Okay,
Mr.
so Senator Lee,
Yeah,
yes,
so
ma'am.
the amendment has been sent to OFB and uploaded onto the chat. So this is line 11, page 73, to add a new item to subsection S, section 1, chapter 5 of the bill to read continuing appropriations authorization, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the allotted but unexpended balance of general fund revenue appropriated to the Guam Department of Labor for fiscal year 2020 and prior shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. And so the Department of Labor has indicated to me that they are in need of this funding to help them
We have
with.
this, or is this the one here, download? Oh,
Yeah, so we had just sent it in so that we could extract that MDF language and make it very clear that this amendment will carry over unexpended general fund appropriations.
Oh, okay, it's for the general fund. It's not the manpower fund, it's the general fund.
That is correct.
Okay,
So if anybody has questions, I'm available to answer them. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And
all
thank you.
right. Does anybody have any questions to this? This is just to carry over general funds for Department of Labor. I'm looking for a waving of hand. Are there any questions? I don't see anybody waving a hand. Senator Tello.
Yes, I'd like to, Steve, what is the balance right now? Is there any excess revenue in FY 2020 that's showing?
in 2020 in the general fund?
Well, so far, I mean, this amendment, hold on one second, because it's in, oh, she redid the amendment. Okay,
If
hold on.
you're talking about 2020, again, we are not done with the year yet, so it's very difficult to give you any.
This is different from the first amendment that was sent,
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct. So just again, to reiterate, we took out the language. So this is general fund only because it sounds like MDF is already covered later in a later section.
Yes, it is.
Apologies if that's confusing.
Yeah, manpower is already covered in chapter 12.
Right. So this
Thank
is just for general fund only.
Thank you. It was just a new amendment. I didn't see it.
All right, not a problem. So and like Steve mentioned earlier, we're not done yet with 2020, just in case there is any, which would probably be not much for Department of Labor and what they're doing right now. Steve, you want to comment? If not, we're going to go ahead and move on the amendment. Because you already stated that there may not be any, we don't know if there's going to be anything until the end of the year.
Yeah, it'd be difficult for me to comment right now, sir, because I don't know what the department's expenditure will be at the end of the fiscal year.
All right, okay. Are there anyone else who'd like to discuss that? If not, we're going to move to vote. All right, I don't see any hands. We'll move to vote. Joe, please call for the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment by Senator Lee for page 73, line 11, Chairman San Agustin?
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rajel?
Aye.
Vice Chair Rajel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton?
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya-Barnes?
Again.
Speaker Munya-Barnes, aye. Senator Lee?
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi?
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Peter Talahi?
Okay.
Senator Peter Talahi, aye. Senator Marsh Taitano?
Again.
Senator Marsh Taitano, aye. Senator Castro?
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan?
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya?
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson?
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez?
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres?
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitugui?
Again.
Senator Taitugui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment has 15 ayes.
Thank you. The motion passes and it'll be engrossed in the bill. My colleagues, is there anything else for Department of Labor? If not, we're gonna move on. Senator Sabina, please.
Yeah, just, Steve, can you double check something for me? So the amount,
Reference to-
General fund.
the amount we appropriated to GCC and DOL, is it equal to the 1,400 increase? Can you just double check that for me?
Okay,
'Cause,
there's a percentage. There's a percentage that's given to Department of Labor, and a percentage going to GC.
You're
Yeah.
referring to the 1.4 million increase in the Manpower
Yes.
Development Fund. The allocation is consistent with the law.
Yeah, but I mean, sorry, can you just double check the numbers, what we allocated before? What did we appropriate for the, we went through Shelton's amendment. Can you just double check that quickly?
Okay, hang on for a second. Okay,
Originally, oh.
all right, Senator. Based on the $1.4 million increase in the Manpower Development Fund, and based on the allocation of a 30% going to GCC, 70%
Labor.
going to,
Department of Labor.
no, 30% is going to Department of Labor and 70% goes to GCC. The amount of the 1.4 went to GCC of $980,000. The amount going to DOL is $420,000.
Yeah, I just, can you double check what we did for GCC really quick?
What specifically are you after, Senator Sabina? Because we need to move on. That's already settled,
Yeah, I
GC,
just
so.
want to double check the numbers, because I just want to make sure that we're sticking underneath the 1,400, that's all. So if we can, yeah, I'm trying to find the amendment for Senator Shelton, just to kind of confirm if that's okay. I don't see the amendment. So that's why I'm wondering if you could check that for me.
I have some numbers. So my first amendment was, Mr. Chair, if I may, I apologize.
Yes, please. Yes, please,
The
so we can
Manpower
move along.
Development Fund. The new total for the Manpower Development Fund was $4.6 million. Okay.
All right, that's correct, but where do we put the 800? I think that's the real question, right, Senator Paris?
Yeah, I
You
just
want to know
check-
where the money went?
We did.
Oh, no, I
amend
know where it
GCC.
went. I just want to just check the numbers.
And then the amount that went to Guam Community College, the new amount was $3.2 million from $3.2 million from that went to the Guam Community College.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman, if you refer back to, just to answer Senator Sabina Perez's inquiry, if you go back on page 27 of the bill, we did incorporate the $980,000 in subsection C under Chapter 2, Part 4 of Section 1. It is reflected, we did make that change. It's
All right,
reflected
Senator Paris.
also in the share drive.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Steve.
All right, thank you. Now we'll move to we're done with Department of Labor, okay, folks? And Senator Therese asked to, what was that? You wanted to bookmark on, I think it was on another page.
I thought we did that already. The
Your
EPA?
bookmark? Yeah, the
EPA?
EPA. I just wanted to remind everybody so that nobody gets, so we're not going backwards, okay? Okay, we're moving now to Parks and Rec, and I was advised by Senator Kelly, she's gonna end up bookmarking this page, this chapter, because she has, Senator Kelly, if you can please explain it, and then we'll be consistent with the rules. what we're doing.
Seduce Masi, Mr. Chair. So when we get to one of my other agencies farther down the road, I'm going to, in communication with the boards, de-appropriate from there to give a little bit to the Department of Parks and Rec. So I'm going to propose that once we get down to the other agency, and it will have in it also the provision
language.
passing.
Right.
But of course, I'll go over all of that when we're there. So I'd
All right,
like
so
to,
okay, you're gonna bookmark Department Parks and Rec. Is there any objection to bookmarking the Parks and Rec, and Senator Kelly is the oversight?
and I do want to point out one thing, if I may. So although if we look at the total for DPR, what looks like DPR's total, it looks like there's a few $1,000s compared to last year. But just like we saw for the Department of Youth Affairs, there are other funds that show up farther down the line. And when you add in those funds, DPR actually experienced a 7.3% cut there. And so I'm just trying to give them the tiniest bit of flexibility to give them just a few $1,000s.
Yes, understood, Senator Kelly. As long as you're aware that originally a major funding for the Parks and Rec last year was more geared towards TAF. And because of the drop in TAF funding, that's why everything else dropped. And Steve, you can explain
overall,
that.
I'm very, very appreciative that money was found to be able to keep it at a pretty even keel. And, you know, I might as well point out as well that this is a budget that keeps on being handed over year after year. And so I've really worked with the DPR director to make sure that, well, next year, I mean, who knows where we'll be next year, but to do a new type of assessment to have a better strategy for setting up a budget rather than just rolling over the old one. So anyway.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna bookmark Parks and Rec, Department of Parks and Rec. Are there any objection to that? And if none, we will move from Parks and Rec. Senator Tello, you have something for Parks and Rec, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I appreciate the Oversight Chair kind of mentioning the fact that it looks like there is an increase, about $9,066 increase compared to last year. And that her comment saying that it really isn't an increase, but a cut. And then it stopped from there. I just like to know where that section was cut, because, you know, I'm looking based on last year's FY20 and looking at 2020.
Right.
Can you show me?
Sorry. Yeah. So like I was saying, it's similar to DYA, where it looks like the total is up on the top, but then there are underneath the federal matching aid grant, which for DPR at this point is 0, but he is grant writing away, so it shouldn't be 0 for long. And so underneath where it's talking about the number 3 on line 23, the maintenance and repair of public restrooms and pool facilities, that got slashed. And so that's where they experienced a 7.3% cut. So with that there, we all know the pools are kind of in this quasi state. But at this point, it's still a very large cut, and we're not sure that it can carry forward what we need for our community. So overall, I'm just going to be trying to give them a few more $1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood. Right.
Thank
Go ahead,
you,
Senator Tello.
Thank you, Senator Marsh, for that explanation. Last year they received, yes, $500,000, and this budget bill now takes them down to $190,000. That's a big cut, especially when we're having problems with restrooms and maintenance and repairs of full facilities. I'm surprised it was.
No, I share your same concern.
Yeah. Well, this budget bill.
But my colleagues, we need to be mindful. Last year, when we first started, and Senator Kelly, you're aware of this, there was DOI money provided to Parks and Recs to repair restrooms, almost $6 million. Where is that money? What are they doing about it? We don't know. And I don't know if you know about it. And if they had
They're
used the
almost
money
finished
as-
with phase 1 is where they are.
well, Senator
There's
Kelly,
3
all I'm just trying to
phases, yeah.
explain, I'm just trying to explain that that there could be a reason why that it was reduced, because there was almost $6 million to repair restrooms. And when you look at the maintenance and repair of public restroom, it was almost $6 million. Now, what's going on there?
It also went to gyms and other things, but yeah, so between the pool and, you know, the shutdowns and the fact that some of the restrooms are being shut down to be repaired on, you know, it's understandable that that's where it was cut, and the other parts were hit less hard. So like I said, I'm appreciative of that. And we're fortunate to have a director who's an experienced grant writer. He's been in place for a few weeks. He's already written, I think, 1 or 2 grants. So we're expecting more out of him to help make up for these shortfalls, among other strategies. Yeah.
Okay, anybody objecting? Senator Therese, please.
Yeah, no, just on that grant, when he testified, or the previous director testified before us, he said that grant to repair the bathrooms would not allow them to like do the regular maintenance, like, you know, the daily or weekly or monthly, anything. That I remember that so clearly, because it was a huge amount of money only for repair. Yeah.
That's a very good point, because once the repair is done, I think everybody, myself included, we absolutely want well-maintained and clean bathrooms. So we are going to have to make sure that that happens. So just Masi.
All right. Are there any objection to the bookmarking this until we get to the department that Senator Kelly plans on de-appropriating and then appropriating to this department? There being none, Joe, please mark page 74 and 75. Parks and Rec is bookmarked. We'll now move to the Department of Labor. Department of Land Management. Yeah, Jim. Yeah, Jim, you want to speak? I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just on Department of Parks and Rec, just a question for Steve, please. The limited gaming funds, can you remind us where that limited gaming funds comes from?
The limited gaming?
Yeah.
The revenues for the gaming fund comes from the revenues they tax for the gaming, you know, the machines and stuff. Yeah, the gaming taxes, or yeah, the gaming fees that they charge.
Right. Are you talking game rooms, or are you talking the bingo halls? Is it bingo or is it the gaming rooms?
No, I think, Steve, limited gaming is not only the game rooms, but then on some game rooms, there are some machines that are allowed by law. Okay, when you say game rooms, you need to be more specific. If you're talking about what happened in court, the court already frees those machines. So we're not looking at that funds, and Steve is OAB is looking at whatever that revenue estimate was for the other types of gaming.
Okay, thank you. So gaming funds is not bingo, right?
No, bingo is a non-profit organization. Okay, so I don't know where that limited would come into. We'd have to ask revenue and tax on that one if that's inclusive.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, Senator Moreland, if this includes any fees from bingo operations.
Yeah, I believe it is. There's an OPA report on it. I believe it includes bingo. Yeah.
Okay, it may include it. Okay.
Yeah.
And since we're here, oh, sorry, I'll wait until you're done. Sorry, Dispensa.
So
are you good now, Jim?
So just the concern on the bingo. So we're closed down, right? And it does include the bingo. And with the COVID situation, there's no mingling. So I'm just anticipating there's going to be shortfalls in that gaming fund. And so I'm just wondering if Steve's projecting that too with these numbers.
Today there's shortfalls, yes, but not in 2021. That's what the estimate is. Steve?
Yeah, hang on, sir. Let me look at my thing here.
Where's
Where's the gaming here? Gaming. Gaming. Limited gaming.
appropriation?
Okay. Yeah, Senator, based on current appropriations, what we anticipated in the 2020 budget was about 1.764 million. What we're projecting in 2021 is a decrease of 1.6 million. So yes, we did take into consideration to some degree the reduction in activities and in possible fee collection.
So you're saying $100,000, 1.7 to 1.6?
That's what the trend is showing, sir. Yes.
Okay. Likewise, would that go the same for the tourist attraction fund? On your, the tourist attraction fund, where the latest numbers we have is 400,000 tourists projected before this super duper lockdown.
Yeah.
You mean the super duper lockdown that protects people's lives?
Yeah, it's a little bit different how we approach these two different funds, Senator, simply because on the tourist attraction fund, that's based on tourists, and you're correct, a reduction from 1.6 million down to 400,000 would signify a huge impact on the collection in the fund. TAF was projected at 44.9 for 2020. For 2021, it's down to 18.3 million. So there is a difference, a reduction of $26.6 million in the TAF.
I'm just wondering if we're using the numbers of 400,000 per GBB estimated tourists before the super duper lockdown thing. Just for the consideration of the for the committee chair there on this.
In our projection for 2021, we are using the 400,000 number for tourists.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And if I could, Mr. Chair, just before we move on, I'm also very concerned about the recreation fund. It's actually projected to be higher than it was for this fiscal year, but yet this fiscal year it's actually performing, well, I should say underperforming at about half. So on one part, we're pleased, I guess, to be able to be contributing to community by waiving the burial fee. But, we know people aren't out there renting pavilions, and we've waived that burial fee. So projecting for a higher performance than for this year, I think is extremely optimistic. So I will be, like everybody else, looking around to see if there's anything I can find, or just working with the director over the year, the next months, and see what we can do.
All right, thank you. There's no one else to speak on the Parks and Rec. It's bookmarked. We'll now move to Department of Land Management, page 76. I'm looking if there's any using their own money anyway, but if there's any, I don't see any, amendments? Senator Therese, if you'd like to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see the land management receives a cut, but I wanted to just ask Steve, the OFB director, why they expect less revenue in this fund this year.
Department of Land Management.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
It's, never mind, Mr. Chair, it's 40,000, and the revolving fund allows them to use it. It's okay, we'll talk about it later. Thank you, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator Therese. Being that there's no amendment for page 76, We will move on from 76 now to 77. The chief medical examiner, who the Attorney General's office is trying to find somebody. Does anyone want to, if there's any amendment, anyone want to discuss that one? It's hard to find a chief medical examiner, I know that. Senator Tello, we're on the chief medical examiner, page 77.
Yes, we are, Mr. Chair. This is under the Office of the Attorney General, if I'm not mistaken. Is that true, Steve? This funding? It's overseen. Is that right, Senator? The oversight chair of Justice and the.
No, the appropriation chief medical examiner is a standalone appropriation to the department, to the agency. It is not under it's not under the judicial branch.
Or the Attorney General's office? I'm sorry, Attorney General's office?
No, it's not.
The Attorney General is the chairman of the Medical Examiners Board, but there are other members like Public Health. Yeah, they're all members, but he's the chairman. But yeah, this is an appropriation, I guess, for them.
Okay, Mr. Chair, what I do know is that they're utilizing some of this funding to pay for the exorbitant cost of bringing someone in from Hawaii and from Saipan. I guess they're using the medical examiner from Saipan, and it's really exorbitant. I mean, this amount doesn't even cost for a regular medical examiner. But I think okay, I'll give well, it's Saturday tomorrow, so I can't give them a call, but it's just very disheartening considering where we are right now, not having a medical examiner in Guam. It's something that we really need to push for, and I know that this is not 432,135 is not going to cut it. So if there's any way at all that we can later on down the road look at probably increasing that, it'd be helpful. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Right. Right. Senator Therese, you have something you want to state?
Well, the former amount was 447. Not that far off.
Yep, not that far off. I know.
About 15,162 off. But like I said earlier, and they spoke about this, is that this amount, it's hard to get anybody to take that amount of money to come to Guam. So
the AG or the board are proposing to raise fees in order to bring in more money for that, but they never said that it was the money that's not that's preventing.
No, it's not the money. It's finding somebody. That's correct, Centuries. I've been reaching out to the agent's offices. What's going on? They said it's not about the about the pay. It's finding the person willing to come all the way to Guam. That's why they were only able to bring in people from off island. Okay.
Point of information, Mr. Chair, they did find somebody in January that was supposed to come, but that individual decided not to come last minute when they got another offer for a higher amount. So sometimes it does talk about money. I mean, if we want to get somebody, we have to pay for it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Senator Lee, and we can move on.
Yes, Mr. Chair, just a reminder to all of our colleagues, it is now 8:18 p.m. We are still not anywhere close to being done with the budget. So unless you have an actual solution or an amendment, just chatting about all of our problems is going to take us a really long time. So if you have a solution to bring to the table, an amendment that we can discuss, we should do that.
Mr. Chair,
thank you, Senator Lee.
It's so inappropriate to continue to tell us that we are not doing our job here.
No, we're doing our job.
And we got this budget August 10th, and we are doing our best to go through it as quick as we can.
Okay, thank you. Now we are now moved from page 77. We are now moving to page 78, Guam Customs and Quarantine Agency. And I thought I saw somebody have an amendment, if I'm correct. If somebody would wave their hand, if they got an amendment.
Quarantine?
Well, I don't think so, because quarantine also is on that chapter of 143 to 144, that if any funds is unexpended, then would be carryover. And it's isolated to just them on their funds. The Custom, Agriculture, and Quarantine Inspection Fund. Do I hear? I don't hear any Senator, Madam Vice, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have one question. Is that allowed?
All right.
Okay. Steve, CQA, their appropriation dropped, and because as the oversight of the Guam International Airport, I'm just concerned because we haven't been receiving any flights. And so usually their appropriation is usually reimbursed through the passenger fee. So how are they gonna, will they be able to maintain and to be able to still perform operations when and if the flight restrictions are lifted?
My understanding of the way Custom and Quarantine will operate is that they will continue providing whatever services up at the airport, but they're also going to be concentrating, I believe, a lot more down at the port when they generate more fees down there to the inspection of the cargo, the containers. Because of the mass reduction in the tourist arrivals, that has really dampened their collection in the Custom and Quarantine Fund. Last year, we were projecting 13.2. The projection for 2021 is 4.1, which is the same amount the Bureau budget also concedes that they could collect. And we also gave them basically a $7.3 million increase in the general fund for 2021, of which they only received 1.7 million out of the general fund this year. So there is a reduction in the total operational costs. Their operating budget for 2020 is paid at 14.9. Their budget appropriation for 2021 is 11.4, for a 3.5 million reduction in appropriation.
Okay, yeah, that's, I'm just concerned. I know you said that they're going to transfer their operations and focus more on the port, but does that have a ripple effect on the cost of goods being brought in through the port? Because from the way I understand it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that Customs and Quarantine is divided. Those that perform functions at the airport can only perform functions at the airport because they're paid through the passenger fee. And then those that perform functions at the port receive, I guess, a separate revenue source. And so,
and you're correct, Senator. I'm just assuming at this point that that's probably one way that we'll try to augment, trying to making up the difference in the loss of revenues. There were also, I believe, conversations and meetings we had with the chairman of appropriation with Custom and Quarantine as far back as last year, asking them for about a fee schedule that they were trying to propose. I don't know where exactly in the plan that proposal is, but we were also thinking that if that was at least implemented, it would help at least generate additional revenues, much needed revenues at this point.
And no concerns from the Customs and Quarantine leadership about their appropriation for the FY 2021. They're able to operate at that amount.
Yeah. Well, right now, we're only like $60,000 difference from BBMR's request. So I would assume that they're in touch with them, and that's a level that Custom and Quarantine is willing to work with, I guess, at the moment, at least for next year.
To start next year.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right. Senator Piru, and then Senator Moylan after Senator Piru.
Steve, I know that the budget for custom is allowing the carryover, but I just want to know how much is the carryover?
Okay, Senator, I'm going to need to check. Give me hopefully just a minute or so to let me find out that amount.
All right, Senator Moylan, if you want to ask the question now, and then hopefully we'll get the answer from Steve. Hopefully it's not something you're going to ask Steve. Senator Moylan?
Maybe just for you, Mr. Chair, in reference to my colleague's last question as well, that the concern, any questions or any concerns coming from the custom side. But yes, I did have a concern coming from the custom side, specifically the chief, Vince Paris. Their concern is making the rental payment. It's an extremely high rental payment they have with the Guam Airport Authority. I think we made the request. Hopefully we can get them on to further explain that to our colleagues here. But if not, maybe we can bookmark it for tomorrow if it's going to be unable to reach him. But they're paying an extremely high rent at the airport for no customers coming in. And I think there should be some consideration for that, and maybe there's something we can address there as well. In addition, Mr. Chair, about these fees and everything, we know we have the chief of the director of customs is administrative leave for how long, I don't know, for being accused of assaulting a woman on the job. So it's going to be difficult for us to get an opinion of the new chief. He's trying to learn what the heck he's supposed to do. So I would really appreciate if we can get Vince Paris on, if at all possible. And if not, maybe we can bookmark it for another day. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Yes.
Steve, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're going to tell me because the year end is not yet. So it's hard for you to determine the carryover.
What I could tell you is based on the 2019 carryover balance, and if you look at the audit report, the fund balance for custom and quarantine fund is $3,200,000, give and take a few dollars, but it's 3.2 million, sir, based on the audit report.
Okay,
I don't know. Yeah, it's too early. It's too early to determine the 2020.
I understand. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. I think Senator Moylan asked to bookmark customs and quarantine, and we'll see if we can get a hold of them for tomorrow, because it's time is ticking. All right. We're bookmarked custom and quarantine, page 78. All right, my colleagues. No objection. We don't need a motion. We don't need a roll call this one. All right. We'll now go to page 79. And I think it's Senator Clint. I think you have something for Department of Tomorrow Affairs, sir.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. One moment while I pull up the amendment. All right, now this amendment, my understanding is it's really just to make sure that there's a correction to the numbers. The actual revenues that we adopted for the Guam Museum Fund are off in this section. It's not the correct numbers that we adopted. So this amendment amends those numbers to reflect the correct numbers that we adopted for the Guam Museum Fund. So I can read the amendment. It's lines 2 through 14, page 79, DCA Appropriations. To amend section 10.1 of chapter 5 to read, appropriation, the sum of $2,048,654 is appropriated to the Department of Tomorrow Affairs. Excuse me, we can skip all this stuff and I can go to the part that's crossed out. I apologize.
All right, there you go. Thank you.
After the summary of appropriation funding source, there's the Guam Museum Fund. It crosses out the 409,664, so that's 409,664, and corrects it to 409,997. It's a small correction, but it'll make sure that the numbers are all balanced. Then the total is crossed out. The total of $2,048,997 is crossed out and replaced with $2,048,654. Again, Mr. Chair, it's just to make sure that the numbers we adopted for the Guam Museum Fund revenues are the numbers that we're using here in the DCA section. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, my colleagues, do you see where he's just making the on the top part on line 9, it reflects 409,997. On the Guam Museum Fund, it reflects a lower amount by $333. And he was just trying to make sure that we got that technical correction. All right, Senator Kelly.
Sidus Masi, Mr. Chair. Yes, I also have an amendment with that correction, but better we tackle it twice and make sure it's corrected than not at all. So I appreciate Senator Clint's diligence in this area for assisting.
All right.
No
Does anyone
problem.
want to speak? Anybody want to speak on the correction? If not, we'll move to vote on this amendment. All right.
Actually, may I close on the amendment?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So the Department of Chamorro Affairs is a very important department. I'm just kidding. So actually, we love the Chamorro people. This is really important. So please vote for it. Actually, what I wanted to do was add Senator Kelly Marsh Taitano as a co-sponsor to this amendment.
Sidus Masi, and I wouldn't say no to $500 either, but or 300.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. We will move to vote. Joe, please read off. Do the roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the motion or amendment made by Senator Rigel for lines 2 to 14, page 79, Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rigel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz-Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munoz-Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Peter Talahi.
Ungan.
Senator Peter Talahi, aye. Senator Marsh Taitano.
Again.
Senator Marsh Taitano, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Muña.
Again.
Senator Muña, aye. Senator or Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Tartaglia.
Mr. Chair, my computer dropped, it died down. So it wasn't plugged in all this time. So it just went power out. So right when Senator Rigel proffered his amendment, and now I can't, because I had to log back in. I don't see his amendment on the chat. I guess when you have to re-log in, it blanks out your chat. So
Understood.
yeah, so I can't, there's nothing on the chat. I'm opening it now. So
It's a $300 correction. That's what it is.
Right. So I just wanted to make, I don't know what happened. There was laughing when I came back on. So I'm not sure what I'm voting on at this moment. So can you tell me what happened?
Senator Tello, what it is a correction on the Guam Museum Fund of an increase of $333. That's all it is. And then making the administrative correction because what is on line 9 is not reflective on line 14. That's all it is.
I see. I see now the amendment, Mr. Chair. Sorry about that. My computer was not plugged into power. It was on its battery and the battery died.
Okay,
So,
and your vote is?
My vote is yes.
Thank you.
So much drama.
Joe?
Yes, thank you.
Not, it's
Senator
making sure I
Tartaglia,
vote
aye.
correctly, Senator Nelson. I needed to vote correctly. I need to know what I'm voting on. That's not
No
drama.
problem. No problem. Thank you, Senator Tello.
Mr. Chair, the amendment by Senator Rigel received 15 ayes.
All right, thank you. The amendment passes, my colleagues. It'll be engrossed into the budget bill. We're done with page 79. We're now moving to page 80. Department of, yes, Senator Kelly, you have something
an amendment for DTA, but then we're done. It's super quick, super easy.
Or something for Tomorrow Affairs or where?
Okay, yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's in the chat And it's one of those very straightforward ones.
Is this the one associated to what you bookmark, ma'am, or no?
No, this is just to ensure that the monies shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended.
Oh,
So,
just a second. Okay.
Yeah, for the Department of Tomorrow Affairs, they are in the middle of transitioning to public management, and they did make progress before and a little bit during the COVID-19, but obviously it has slowed them down. And so we don't know what the lapses will be, but they are expecting to have a little bit to, and they need it to help continue moving over to public management.
Understood. If you can just read off your amendment, we appreciate it. We can move on, please.
Yes. So the amendment says line 17, page 79, to add a new section 1X2 to chapter 5 to read 2. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Department of Tomorrow Affairs in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended.
All right. Does anyone like to speak on to that motion, that amendment? I see no hands. Would you please close and we'll move to vote?
I thank everybody for their considerations to this policy.
Okay, thank you. Joe, would you take the roll call, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment proffered by Senator Marstachino on line 1, page 79. Chairman San Agustin?
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rajel?
Aye.
Vice Chair Rajel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton?
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz Barnes?
Again.
Speaker Munoz Barnes, aye. Senator Lee?
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Tuis Talahi?
Again.
Senator Tuis Talahi, aye. Senator Pino Talahi?
You do?
Oh, we may have lost him, sir. We'll monitor him.
All right. All right, there he is. I think he's coming on now. There's Senator Pino. Your vote, sir?
Sorry, Joe, but I was out of commission at the moment. My vote is yes.
Okay, thank you. Joe?
Thank you. Senator Pino Talahi, aye. Senator Marstachino?
Again.
What's that? Senator Castro?
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Mr. Chair, may I pause for a moment? We seem to be offline or on YouTube.
Okay, well, why don't we just take a 5-minute recess and then we'll come back on, give everybody a chance to Thank you, my colleagues, for your patience. Hopefully the technical difficulties have been resolved for us, or at least for the next hour and a half. Joe, would you continue on the vote, please? Because that's where we left off.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The last vote rendered was by Senator Castro, which was aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitugui.
Again.
Senator Taitugui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 15 aye votes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, my colleagues, that amendment will be engrossed into the budget bill. We will now move, I think we're done with page 79. We will now move to page 80, Department of Military Affairs. For some of you that don't know, that's the civilian force for the Guam for the Guam National Guard. It's all coming out, it's to pay the civilian folks that are there. Are there any discussion? I don't see an amendment on file, all right? There being none, page 80 is closed. We're now moving to page 81. I think that's Senator Kelly. Do you have an amendment for this one or no? Or this one has no amendment?
Okay, wait. No, this is the very long amendment. So let me throw it in the chat. I needed that clarification that it was indeed in the correct form. Let me just make sure to save it.
No, if you could please explain, Senator Kelly, that what you're gonna do is de-appropriate and appropriate to the department that you bookmark, so that we know we're doing two things at one time. Okay?
Yes, let me just make sure I can find it, sorry. Where did it go? I just saved it in there.
That's page 81.
Yeah, sorry.
81 for de-appropriation to appropriate to page.
If Joe has it to put on the chat, I can put other information there. Is Joe able to put it on the chat?
Joe, do you have that?
Mr. Chair, we just received that via email about 20 seconds ago, 30 seconds ago, so we're formatting it this time.
Okay, I guess they were, yeah. So I guess we were all unsure about the format. So, oops, no, I didn't want to do
it should be fixed. If not, we'll get your folks to fix it and be done with it. Okay, I see something on the chat right now. CAHA, use of FastPack funds.
Yeah, so that's the letter from the board or an email communication from the board. And while we're waiting for Joe to put it on, I'll go ahead and do my opening if that's okay with you.
Yeah, yes. At least you can read it on and we can hopefully be able to follow
actually
you.
I have one more document that I can put there. It's a small little spreadsheet that should hopefully show it in a way that feels simplified. Let's see. Yeah. So it's a very, I mean, I hate to call it a chart even, it's so simple. That's there, and then that'll help walk people through it.
I think it should be very easy, Senator Kelly. If you just, as we're waiting for it to be loaded, can you just tell us where, on what line on page 81 you're moving money?
Yes.
So we'll know.
So I motioned to shift $200,000 within several of the agencies under my committee's oversight, consisting of 4 amendments. Well, it's all in one now. The amendment is necessary to meet shortfalls which are not met in the current budget bill. Without taking action on this amendment, agencies will not be able to pay their rent or utilities. Important programs will be disrupted. Federal dollars that otherwise would be circulating in our economy would be lost. and warm bodies in federally funded positions would be endangered. These programs serve our youth, our manumku, and our community at large. They turn lives around, they reach out to impart important messages in ways that other means can't, and they provide for our morale and welfare. So I have a chart, I put it in the chat, that shows the shifting of the funds.
Can you just walk us through and just talk about it, ma'am, so we can see it while everybody else trying to pull it up?
Okay, so it's
Because everybody can see page 81.
Chat.
As we're looking at page 81, what did you plan on doing?
I'm trying to open it up myself. Sorry. So what we did is we worked with CAHA and the other agencies, and we were working to stabilize the plans for CAHA. Their funds right now are coming out of TAF and the general fund, which we all know, we've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. They're somewhat vulnerable and somewhat unpredictable. And so for stability's sake, CAHA needs to match this federal grant or else the whole program is endangered. And so they determined that using the FESPAC funds, 200,000 of it gives them that stability. And they're using that there as part of their federal matching funds. It also allows them to make up for $89,000 in shortfall. And then what we did was we moved, so I don't know why I'm having trouble with our own chat, but what we did was we moved monies, as you can see in the chart. So CAHA had a shortfall of $89,277. Some of that was, as we discussed it in almost the very beginning, the fact that they have a larger federal grant award this time around, and so they were $14,500 short of that. Then there are also a couple of partially federally funded positions that need a local match. So this monies from FESPAC makes up for the $89,277 of shortfall that they had. And then we're taking monies from the general fund and the TAF, and we're distributing it to other agencies that do not have a federal match. So they don't have some of the same concerns, really. The Guam Territorial Band. So earlier on, I had talked about typical cuts. And a lot of the typical cuts were maybe about 4 or 5%. But if we look at the territorial band, their cut was 20%. CAHA's was also 22%. So using some of these FESPAC monies helps make them whole. And as the letter shows, we talked to the director, the board had a meeting. They did not take this lightly. They really deliberated about what the most responsible thing to do was to safeguard the program and just ensure its stability for the upcoming year. So for, like I said, CAHA and the territorial band, they each received about a 20% cut. So we gave 5,000 to the Guam territorial band. DPR, we've already discussed that. That had about a 7.3% cut. And so it's not a great deal considering that they lost quite a bit of money for the restroom maintenance and pool repair, restroom and pool maintenance and repair. But at least it's a little bit to, offset a variety of things. And I already mentioned that I'm very, very concerned about the recreation fund. It's only performing at 50% this year. HRA also was coming up short from fully being able to meet their rent and utilities, and they are going to be needing some equipment this year, such as access to a copier. So we kept things at a basic level of what they needed to just function as an office. And for Commission y Fino Tomorrow, so the commission actually also got an 11.93% cut. And again, they stripped away everything other than the bare bones. Any program, they're going to look for grant monies, but they have come up with a long-term solution. So they had been staying in the Guam Garden House for a while at Plaza de España, and we're very appreciative to the Guam legislature for having allowed that. But there was a leak, and it's not necessarily a permanent location. So then they partially set up in the Guam Museum, and then that just as they're moving into public management, there was no room there. So now they're partly housed in my office. So they were able to find a more permanent place, but this requires utility. They're not paying rent, but they are paying utility and Wi-Fi. So this just allows them again to make sure that their utilities are paid for, their Wi-Fi is paid for, and maybe a little bit of their personnel costs there. And that is up to the $200,000. And then for most agencies, you'll see in the amendment that they have those conditions about not having the monies lapse and to let them be used until they're fully expended.
Okay, Senator Kelly, what we're gonna do is to be consistent with our rule. On your amendment that you submitted, okay? Yep. Just follow along with me. We're at Kaha, okay?
Yes.
Kaha, and you bookmark page, looking at your amendment, you bookmark page 74 under Parks and Rec. So we're gonna address that you're de-appropriating and appropriating to Parks and Rec, okay? Mm-hmm. And already you identified in Kaha the reduction. And then when we get to page 88 and 89, we'll allow you to address HRRA, and then in 89, we'll allow you to address the Commission y Fino Tomorrow, all right? Just so we're consistent. So your amendment will still carry on as we go along.
Okay, so do we vote for parts of it along the way, or how does this work?
We'll vote first. Number one, we're at Kaha, okay? Remember, I said one. It's simultaneous. We will do the vote we will move on the discussion for Kaha, the reduction, and then in your same I
know.
You should have you need to separate it because you're addressing Kaha to de-appropriate to appropriate to Parks and Rec that you bookmark. We haven't got to page 88 or 89, okay? All right, and then we'll bookmark your Kaha to reflect the money that you have there that you're de-appropriating, so that when we come to page 88 and page 89, we would use your bookmark of Kaha to bring the money forward, okay? To page 88, the HRRA and the Commission. All right, do we have an understanding, my colleagues?
If that works for everybody, because I think we'd all rather just vote on it at once. So yeah,
that's
it's
the way.
Only a few pages down the road.
Senator Kelly, that's how the rule is. Let's not change now. Let's just stay focused. Okay, we're gonna take care of your Parks and Rec that you bookmark.
Yes.
And your Kaha. Okay, so let's just stay with that. So we don't be jumping around too much. Just stay with that. So my colleagues, did you understand the amendment? The amendment is by Senator Kelly is to reduce. Senator Kelly, go ahead and read it. What are you reducing? How much you're reducing? And then just go specifically to the summary of your appropriation funding. So it's very specific.
Okay, so with this, we're taking the, sheesh. We're taking the $200,000 from FESPAC, and then this is going to change the dependence on the general fund. So it changes the general fund for CAHA from 158,873 down to 126,014. And it changes the tourist attraction fund from 140,709 down to $62,845. And then it shows in the amendment that there's the addition of the FESPAC funds to add in the 200,000. Now, this changes their total from 299,582, which was $89,000 short for their needs. So it bumps it all the way up to $388,859. This allows them to fully meet the federal matching grants and aid at $309,300, which had to be corrected since the award came in a few days ago and it was higher than it was last year. And for the Guam Territorial Band, it also shows on this amendment that we have moved $5,000. So they now have a total of $45,000 for their appropriation. And then for the Department of Parks and Recreation.
No, you have to finish off. The notwithstanding any other provisions, you still finish off your amendment on that page first. Letter B. Okay, Guam Territorial Band. And then you have.
Sure, I'll go ahead and read that. Yes, thank you. You're right, I did miss that part. So B, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Guam Territorial Band in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. And then section 3, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to CAHA in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended.
Okay, now to be simultaneously, Senator Kelly, you will now read the bookmark of page 74 of the increase that you're giving to Parks and Rec. Okay?
Yes.
Keep reading. And then we'll bookmark CAHA because there's money there that you want to appropriate to the other two other agencies you have, okay?
Okay, and thank you for walking me through that. I think it's the first time we've done one this complex. So, so for Department of Parks and Recreation, we already talked about some of the issues there and the needs there. So what it does is it moves over just, what is it, $32,000, and so it becomes from 2,076,157. It bumps it up just a little bit, so that is now $2,109,000 and $109,016, and that makes their total $3,652,428, having crossed out $3,619,569. And let's see. So there's also a notwithstanding provision of law on the next page, number 5. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Department of Parks and Recreation in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. And then you want me to stop there, right? You're muted.
I apologize. I was muted. We'll stop there. Now, I'm going to ask a very simple question from Steve, because we're dealing with FESPAC money now. Steve, can you please walk us through on the issue with the FESPAC money that she's identifying?
Yeah, so
Yes.
just as a recap, yeah, we had appropriated $350,000 for FESPAC. And so we're moving 200,000 of that and leaving the remaining 150,000.
Right. That was early in the year. Yes, Steve, if you can please explain the issue with the FESPAC.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First of all, for purposes of the budget itself, the FESPAC, let me see where in it. Yeah, the fund source that being identified, which is the 13th Festival of the Pacific Arts and Culture, is not a recognized fund source that we are using in the bill. It is we are trying to identify.
Yeah, that's why it says in the art for the, let's see, let me find that. It's right there in the amendment. That's why when you look at it on the line, it says FESPAC funds in the arts in public buildings funds.
As a source.
Yeah, so then they weren't officially pulled out and put in any special fund.
Yeah, the problem is, Senator, it is not a recognized fund source in the bill. So we don't normally use a fund or identify a fund source if it's not part of the revenue base that's found in Chapter 1. That's the only way we can balance the budget. If we use a fund source that is not in the Chapter 1 revenue portion of the bill, basically the budget won't be balanced, because we're using a fund source that is not identified as a recognized fund source in the bill.
So Steve, how can we fix this to identify, to use that money that she's identifying that she has available? Yes.
I would think that you would have to, and this is just my thought, you would have to amend the original law that gave the initial, I believe, $350,000 to the 13th Festival of the Pacific Arts Culture Fund, and then reappropriate it to where you want to put it.
Okay, Steve, could we do that anywhere in the budget bill, such as in the miscellaneous portion or administrative?
Yes, but it's not.
You can do it, sir, but it will not be part of the revenue base.
That's correct.
FY21.
Correct. It won't be part of the revenue base, but it can be put in. Can it be put in the Budget Act where it's funds identified from the FESPAC, which is the arts in public building funds, to be accessed and appropriated in the miscellaneous part, so that she can put that money to where she wants to put it, where they've all agreed to do it to their 4 agencies. Is that possible?
I
Right,
would
because
say,
we've already given them the authority to use it.
Hold on first, Senator Kelly. Let's get a clear picture from Steve first.
I would think you could, provided that you de-appropriate it from the original fund source, which is the 13th Festival of the Arts and Culture, and then reappropriate it to these agencies as your amendment suggests.
It won't affect the 2020.
But it will not affect it will not affect the 2020.
No, it's not going to those agencies.
Senator Kelly,
Yeah,
stand by
it's the general
for
fund.
Senator Kelly,
I'm just trying to explain.
I understand, but first we need to identify the fund source that you're identifying, so it can be appropriately identified how it can get to the agencies you want it. So that's why I'm working with Steve right here openly,
Right.
so you can
And
understand
I'm
it.
just
So you
trying
can
to
get.
provide information. The monies going to the other agencies is not FESPAC monies. That stays with CAHA. as they have authority to use it, the monies that go to the other agencies are the general fund monies that are freed up and the TAF monies that are freed up.
So it's basically to identify the FESPAC money to go to CAHA, but you're gonna take money out of CAHA and the general fund and the tourist attraction fund and then share that among everybody else, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
right,
so,
Steve.
so that would be okay if you're doing it for one department or you're doing it for 5. The process is that you would still need to go and de-appropriate it and then reappropriate it to wherever you want to appropriate it to.
Yes, that's what she wants to do and identify maybe in the miscellaneous to take the money from the arts FESPAC to put it to CAHA. That's what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Steve?
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't get that last part.
She wants to be able to identify the FESPAC money to be moved to CAHA.
Okay.
Okay, that's one. The other parts are to de-appropriate the general fund and tourist attraction fund to move to the other agencies that's within her oversight. The de-appropriation part and appropriation, which is okay because it's within the FY21.
I'm just trying to think, sir, of the mechanism to do it and see whether or not it's proper and it would fit. I just need to think about this for a second.
Okay, then we'll bookmark this part.
Yep.
And then your Senator Kelly, your staff can meet up with OFB and we can work this out so we don't tie up any more time on this one. Okay.
Yeah.
But
we'll bookmark it.
I think all our colleagues are well aware of what you're trying to do, which is to take care of the agencies you oversee and not taking from anybody else, but taking care within your own funding availability. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Okay, my colleagues, do we have an understanding of that, of what Senator Kelly is trying to do so that we don't have to tie up anymore? All right, we're going to bookmark CAHA, we'll bookmark Parks and Rec, and as we move along, when we get to HRRA and Commission, tomorrow, we'll bookmark that also so that tomorrow, later on tonight, your staff can get with OFB and they can figure out how we're going to do this tomorrow, okay? Only because the clock is ticking, it's 9:13, Senator Kelly. We
Yes,
can move on to the other
and
agencies.
so I'm gonna send you a suggestion from one of my staff. I'll message it to you.
All right. So are there any objections to bookmarking right now, CAHA, as was discussed earlier about what Senator Kelly is trying to do? There being no objection, CAHA, page 81 is bookmarked. We're now moving to 82, Guam Fire Department. I'm looking, is there any amendments out there, my colleagues?
Yes,
Joe,
Mr. Chair.
Senator Clinton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's just a continuing appropriation for GFD. Line 20, page 82, continuing appropriations for GFD. Add a new section 1A2 to read, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the allotted but unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Guam Fire Department for fiscal years 2019 and 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. Mr. Guerrero, is this something that's necessary, or is it caught by the catch-all provision you mentioned earlier?
No, Vice Speaker, because you're referring to the general fund, correct?
Yeah, it just says all funds appropriated to GFD.
I think in this particular case, let's see, because you got TAF, Fire and Life, Enhanced 911.
Yeah, Guam Fire Department is only identifying enhanced emergency reporting, fire and life medical emergency fund.
Yeah, then I would think that the 911, the enhanced 911 and the fire and life is specific to Guam Fire, but because they have TAF money, that's not only for Guam Fire. we may need, you may need to put specific language for that, because the TAF, unlike the other funds that are specific to certain departments, that's the catch-all in the back. But on the TAF, it's a little bit different because that's split among various departments. So looking at, give me a second looking at the language. Notwithstanding represented the unallowed has been managed. So the way your amendment or your new section is reading is that it would catch all appropriations to Guam Fire to be continued until
From
fully expended.
2019.
Yes,
From
it would
2019 to
cover.
2020.
Yeah, it would cover.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure, is it necessary or unnecessary based on the catch-all provision you mentioned earlier? I just didn't want to do a provision that's an amendment that's unnecessary.
Yeah, no, this one, I think it's appropriate simply because the other one is, you're talking about enhanced, you're talking about
Okay,
excess.
got it.
Yeah.
I
This
just
is
wanted to
good.
make sure. Okay, thank you, Mr. Guerrero. So with that, Mr. Chair, that's all I have for this amendment.
All right, does anyone want to discuss this amendment? Senator Lee?
Sedus Masi, Mr. Chair, at this time, I move to be excused from voting on this measure as my husband is part of this department and may benefit from this amendment.
All right, thank you. Are there any objection to this motion? Senator Tello?
Mr. Chair, if she's not going to be voting on this amendment, will she be able to vote on the bill entirely? Because this amendment's going to be in the budget bill when it's come time for voting.
She'll make that decision then when we get to that voting.
Recuse
She'll
herself
ask
from
to
that?
recuse. I beg your pardon?
I said, will she recuse herself from that? It's my question.
We'll find out. She's just recusing herself from this amendment. Okay, so let's move on to this. This is only for this amendment. All right. Are there any objection to her request to recuse? Well, these pictures are moving around. There being none, Senator Torres? Senator Mary? I know you waved your hand. Are you going to speak, ma'am?
I don't see the need for her to recuse right now because, I mean, we even vote on our own budgets, right? Legislative. So technically, I would say just
offer
vote.
it up to the body.
Yeah.
Okay.
But clearly, I mean, everything here affects all of us in some way. So, you know, just vote with us, I believe.
All right. Senator Lee, I know you've asked to be recused
Well,
on this amendment.
I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention and just leave it up. I do this every time we have anything that's related to GFD, and I've been consistent in that. So I just
All right.
want to, thank you.
All right. Are there any objection to her motion? Huh?
For the ethicness of it.
Okay. Are there any objection to that motion? Being that there's no objection. Okay. Madam Speaker, can you speak louder? I can barely hear you.
Yes. Madam, Mr. Chair, one of our colleagues was asking to allow for the senator to vote. So I would probably register that as an objection. So, because I don't have a problem with her voting either.
All right, so.
That
Okay,
could be.
one has raised the objection.
Just allow her to vote. Let's just allow her to vote because we're similarly in the same situation. Those of us that have other government employees who are spouses.
Yes, right. But because I think I hear an objection by Senator Teller when she questioned it. So why don't we just move to vote on this? Joe, why don't you go ahead and
I didn't object, Mr. Chair. I was just making I was asking for the person who wanted to recuse herself if she was going to not vote on the budget bill itself. So I think it's, it's totally up to her. I mean, I have no objection.
Okay, being that there's no objection from her recusing, I don't think we need to vote on it. So we'll just move, she has to recuse and we'll just move on. The motion passes that she's recused. Joe, let's move to the vote on this amendment by Senator Clint, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the amendment by Senator Rigel for line 20, page 82. Chairman San Augustine.
Aye.
Chairman San Augustine, aye. Vice Chair Rigel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton. Vice Chair Shelton.
Who again?
Thank you. Vice Chair Shelton. I'm sorry, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Good.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi.
On the continuing appropriation, right, for GFD?
That's correct.
Yes,
Okay, aye, yes.
thank you. Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Peter Talahi. Senator Peter Talahi.
Again, por favor.
Senator Peter Talahi, aye. Senator March Taitsunu.
Again.
Senator March Taitsunu, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitagui.
Again.
Senator Taitagui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 15 aye votes.
Thank you, my colleagues. That amendment passed and we will be engrossed into the budget bill. We're now on page 83 because I don't see any other amendments for the Guam Fire Department. We're on Guam Educational Telecommunication. That's the GETC/PBS Guam. I don't see an amendment.
There's one in the chat. It should have been sent in already.
Okay.
And it's just a standard one that we're each doing to be good guardians of the agencies in our oversight. So line 13 and page 83.
Okay, if you can please read out your amendment, ma'am, and we can move on this, please.
Yes, line 13, page 83, to add a new section 1BB2 to chapter 5 to read 2. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Guam Educational Telecommunications Corporation, GETC/PBS Guam, in fiscal year 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended.
All right, are there need for any discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and move to vote. Thank you. I don't see any hands waved. Joe, please do the roll call so we can move. It's 9:24, my colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The amendment by Senator March Taitsunu for line 13, page 83. Chairman San Augustine.
Aye.
Chairman San Augustine, aye. Vice Chair Rigel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Peter Talahi.
Again.
Senator Peter Talahi, aye. Senator March Taitsunu.
Again.
Senator March Taitsunu, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Senator Nelson. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again. Thank you.
You're welcome. Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Tatawi.
Again.
Senator Tatawi, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 15 aye votes.
All right, thank you, my colleagues. That motion is passed and it'll be engrossed into the budget bill. We're now on page 84, Tomorrowland Trust Commission. I don't have an amendment, but Senator Therese, I'm gonna check if there's in one.
All right, so the Tomorrowland Trust, it has a Tomorrowland Trust Operations Fund, and it's a revolving fund also. And so we're appropriating about 100, I think it's $142,000 less in this fund from what was appropriated in 2020. And however, they also included here an appropriation from the CLTC Survey and Infrastructure Fund for operations. And so I would like to amend this, Mr. Chair, to remove the CLTC Survey and Infrastructure Fund as a source of funds for operations, because it has a very special purpose, and that is to survey and put in infrastructure at the Tomorrowland Trust. And this is really the holdup for the properties to be used. And so I don't want to preclude at least this amount from going towards that in this fiscal year. Otherwise, we set them up to fail. It's going to be very difficult. I don't even know if possible for the Tomorrowland Trust to operate with a cut on its operations fund. However, I really want the tenants in the Tomorrowland Trust properties to benefit, and not, by protecting the survey and infrastructure fund. I just feel I don't want them to fail in that regard. And they are able to survey properties, and it's not a lot of money, so it's not going to go very far. But so my amendment, Mr. Chair, it's been passed out, is to delete the words for its operations for, and then divide the separate funds to different uses. So the Tomorrowland Trust Operations Fund, and I've added in the words for its operations. And then after the CLTC Survey and Infrastructure Fund, I've added in for purposes set forth in section 75124 of chapter 75 of the Guam Code annotated. And that's the section, of course, that sets out the purpose, the limited purpose of the Survey and Infrastructure Fund. I'd also like to bookmark this section, Mr. Chair, because just in case we can find some money for them to really be successful in their mission this year. They're severely underfunded. GWA is not allowing, not right now, allowing itself to bring in infrastructure to any of these properties without huge cost to the tenants. And that's really been the impediment to the tenants. They are not able to fund that. And especially it's hard for them because if, they want to share it among the neighbors, not all of them can afford it, and then none of them can afford it. It's a very, very difficult situation that they are in, but we really want them to succeed. So we're going to try our best to find another source, but for now, yeah, let's just protect that survey fund.
All right.
That's my amendment.
All right. Thank you, Senator Therese. I just have a simple question in reference to the Tomorrowland Trust. Did you ever find out if they ever got the money that was taken away on the last administration from them?
Right. So
I'm just curious. I just wanted to ask that simple question, then we can move on.
Yeah. I have asked several times, and they said they have asked, but they have not received the money. And that's from this Survey and Infrastructure Fund. And they had about 750,000. They were building it up so that they could actually get, a track survey. And
Okay.
because it's costly, yes.
I just thought I'd ask that simple question.
Okay. If you can help get that money, that would be fantastic.
Yes, we're going to figure out how we can ask for that. Does any of my colleagues have any questions they want to pose to that amendment? There being none, Senator Therese, if you go ahead and close it, we'll go ahead and move to vote on your amendment, please.
Sure, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, Joe, let's do the roll call and let's vote on this amendment. Joe?
I'm sorry, I was talking to myself there for a moment.
Go ahead,
Thank you,
Joe.
Mr. Chair. On the amendment by Senator Therese Terlahi, line 1, page 84. Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rajel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rajel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Aye.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Therese Terlahi.
Again.
Senator Therese Terlahi, aye. Senator Peter Terlahi.
Ungan, por favor.
I'm sorry, one more time, Senator.
Ungan, por favor.
Okay. Jesus Masi, Senator Peter Terlahi, aye. Senator Marsh Taitano.
Again.
Senator Marsh Taitano, aye. Senator Castro.
Ungan, por favor.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Ungan.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitugui.
Aye.
Senator Taitugui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 15 aye.
All right, thank you, my colleagues. The motion passed. There was also a motion to bookmark in the event that we do find money somewhere and anywhere. So there's no objection. We bookmark also Tomorrowland Trust. Joe, please take note of that when we go back. We are now moving to page 85. My colleagues, it's 9:32. Okay, Guam Regional Transit Authority. Are there any? I don't see any amendments. Are there anything for discussion? Other than that, we will move on. We're now closed 85. We're now on Guam Election Commission, page 86. Is there anyone want to discuss? I'm the oversight. I have nothing to discuss with them. So does anybody want to bring up any issues? None? Okay.
Only, Mr. Chair, that they received a slight increase and just wondering what increased over there that, I mean, this was pre-COVID.
Steve, can you break that down exactly what they got an increase? I think it has to do
Yes,
with
Mr.
employees.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the increase is attributed to the funds that we increased for the general election to cover the cost of the general election.
Oh, okay, so they're predicted costs. This is not for like extra personnel or something like that? Okay.
Our intended increase was to cover the upcoming general election. That's what the increase was for.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. We will now move from page 86. We're now on page 87, Guam Solid Waste, which has their own funding source. The solid waste is funded by themselves. I'm looking who has solid waste. No, there's no discussion for Guam Solid Waste. We'll move now to page 88. HRRA. On Senator Kelly, we're gonna bookmark HRRA because you're gonna work with that, okay?
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya-Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munya-Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Therese Talahi.
Again.
Senator Therese Talahi, aye. Senator Peter Talahi.
Again.
Senator Peter Talahi, aye. Senator Marsh Titan.
Again.
Senator Marsh Titan, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitigui.
Aye.
Senator Taitigui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment has 15 aye votes.
All right, thank you. And also it was requested by Senator Lee, you wanted to bookmark this agency also, ma'am? All right, hearing no objection, we'll just go ahead and bookmark it. Page 90, and we're now on page 91, Bureau of Women's Affairs, and my colleagues, you've heard her fighting for the rights of women on the news. But anyone wanted to have any amendments for Bureau of Women's Affairs? I just wanted to make sure that it's heard, okay? She was fighting for the women's rights today. Okay, and if there be nothing, we'll move from page 91. Now we're on page, Senator Tello, ma'am.
Sure, yeah. Bureau of Women's Affairs, last year they received 77,855. This year they're receiving 93,164. That's an increase of 15,309. Can you explain why that increase was?
Steve, you can please explain. I don't even know if they had a desk then, but go ahead, Steve.
As I mentioned to you, Senator Tello, the increase is due to cover salary, the cost of salary for one individual.
Oh, salary.
But see, what I don't understand, Steve, is last year she received 77,855. Did she get an increase in salary or what?
Hi, Mr. Chair, if I may offer a point of information as the Chair of Women's Affairs.
Okay, please.
Thank you. So last year, the budget that was given to the Bureau of Women's Affairs did not even cover her full salary and benefits. She did not receive an increase in pay. This is to cover the full salary and benefits of the Director of Bureau of Women's Affairs, and that is all.
Oh, okay.
So 93,164. Okay,
That's
thank
correct. That's salary and benefits.
you. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion? If not, we will move, I mean, there's no amendment. Senator Therese.
I'd like to bookmark this, Mr. Chair.
Oh, you want to bookmark it? Okay, we'll bookmark page 91. Any objection? There being none, we'll move now to page, it's bookmarked. We're now at the Medical Referral Assistance Office, page 92. Senator, Madam Speaker. Unmute. Don't be like me, please.
I apologize. My system is unstable still, so I just had to move this. I just wanted to ask for the Medical Referral Office, Mr. Chair, if I may. I just wanted to ask about the contracts that the Medical Referral Office has, and have they solidified a contract, or they're still working month to month? If anyone can share that answer to me. And they still only have 2 contracts?
Who's the oversight for medical referral?
You.
Me? Oh, I don't know about their contract. Steve, what do you know about them? I didn't even know I covered medical referral.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't advise you, but no, I do not have any information to agreements with any vendors out there. I'm sorry. I don't have any people.
Bookmark this so I can come back and ask questions. I do know that.
Yes, I will ask that question. I will look for the answer.
But sir, I just want to know, based on some constituent concerns that came up about the direction of some of the contracts that are still in place. And I know that there were some provisions last year that we couldn't work with. So I just wanted to make sure we do a follow-up if you can.
All right, no, I will make a follow-up. I'm honestly, I didn't even know I was medical referral. I would have been looking for that because I've been asking questions about medical referral. I have many constituents that call me about trying to hook up whenever they're traveling and they don't. Trust me, I'm going to find out.
Yes, sir.
We're going to
Thank
know.
you.
We're going to know what's going on. And if they get this budget, they're going to be, we're going to pull them in. All right. Thank you. Is there anyone? We're going to bookmark this page anyway, page 92. No objection. Page 92 is bookmarked. We're now at the Ethics Commission. Anyone want to discuss? Senator Therese?
Yes. Can you just please explain this? This is a new addition to the budget. And
yes,
if you could just justify the 194,000.
Steve?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my understanding of this commission, it's a fairly new commission that just began this year, my understanding, and that the 194,000 that you're seeing there in terms of appropriation is to cover personnel, half of the personnel that's on that commission.
And also all their supplies, correct? I mean, it's just not personnel, it's to cover their office work.
Whatever the amount can cover, sir, that's what we budgeted for them. Yes.
All right.
But what do you mean by half of the personnel?
Okay, since the commission is fairly new commission, and it's my understanding, it's just getting off the ground now. I believe how many positions they asked for? I believe they asked for like 4 or 5 positions. And that because I was informed that it's being established now, what we did is we funded with, I believe, 2 positions.
Does the statute authorize them to hire?
That Senator Talai, I don't know. I need to check.
Okay, I'd like to bookmark this area, Mr. Chair. Because, yeah, I mean,
all right.
and if you tell us, Steve, how much are the stipends for the commission in a year? Yeah, should be, yeah.
All right,
we'll look on that.
We'll bookmark.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
All right, and we have the vice also waved her hand. Go ahead, Madam Speaker.
I just want to do a point of information that just got back to me that the medical referral contract is under protest and is in procurement appeals. So maybe we can get an update on that further. So
we will ask for that. We'll ask the OPA if it's on appeal. Madam Vice Speaker, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Forgive me, but can I ask Steve, are the personnel in the Ethics Commission, is this a classified position? Or are you funding limited term? Is there a staffing pattern that shows classified or anticipated classified?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it right now. I can get back to you in about a minute or so, okay?
Okay, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Give a minute, and it's 9:47. We're very close to the 10 o'clock hour, my colleagues.
I'm looking at it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, are you waiting on me? Huh? Senator Nelson? Yes.
Yes,
They have,
Steve.
yeah, based on the staffing pattern, they have 4 positions. One being the director, which is unclassified. They have an administrative, I believe, officer. They also have an attorney and a PC2 position listed on that staffing pattern.
Okay, I look quick.
Yeah. Can we bookmark this, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Yes, can you,
please.
Thank
you.
Steve,
Yes.
Steve, can you clarify which ones you funded? Which one this 194 represents? Or which two?
Senator Talani, because, you know, it was a fairly new, it was a fairly new program that I was told that they're trying to get off the ground. All we did was fund half of the requests, which we thought would be reasonable to give them at this point.
Do you know the amount for the admin officer?
I could get that for you.
All right.
We're gonna bookmark this, Senator Therese. Maybe we can come back to that. Okay. Okay, we're gonna bookmark that, Steve, and you can get that information for later. My colleagues, it's 9:49. We're now gonna go to page 94, which is the legislature. Our branch. Okay, Committee on Rules, Senator Lee, where did she go? There you go. And then she may be able to brief my colleagues of what we got. All right, Senator Lee? Or you
Thank
wanna,
So,
we're 10 minutes from the hour, so.
as is kind of standard for our branch, we have our appropriation, which took a little bit of a cut this year. So we have 7.6 million appropriated from the general fund, and then we have a separate appropriation in section 2 for OFB, as well as an appropriation for the Guam Youth Congress. And I think there may be an amendment to section 3 just to correct a technical error. So, Mr. Chair, if I could just bookmark that section.
All right, okay, and we can come back to that because we also have the resolution that we gotta get passed. Okay, thank you. All right, we will now move, legal service, page 95. Office of the Attorney General. Senator Jim. Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if I'll do this, but thank you for core
Really? Okay.
referencing our small cup. I'm thinking of an amendment, but I'm not sure at this time. But I think our small cup was just under $400,000. And then when I look at the executive branch, let's see, I think their cup was just around less than $5,000. So I was considering just taking money from the executive branch and putting it back into the legislature branch, but maybe, you know, I'll try to get the consensus from my colleagues first. So at this time, I'll withdraw that. But just thinking about it, you know, it just kind of doesn't look too fair to me. But you know, we're 15 and she's 1. But that's okay, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Senator Moylan. We're now at legal services. It's 9:52. I don't know how far we can go in there, and that's Senator Teresa's oversight, the Attorney General's office. Ma'am, do you have anything for page 95?
Yes, and the Attorney General's office has requested if we could bookmark this because they're working on a deadline tonight that's due tomorrow in a court deadline, and they want it to be present, I guess, or at least that's a request from Stephanie Mendiola at the AG's office. But
yes, I have no problem with that one. And if my colleagues have no objection, we got less than 8 minutes left. I would like to recess. Senator Clint, my vice, please.
So the AG's office will be available tomorrow? Is that the understanding?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure it's not like the, okay, that's fine, no problem.
Okay. My colleagues, we will recess. Madam Speaker, did you want to say something, ma'am?
No, thank you, no.
Okay,
No.
thank you. We will recess now and come back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If we can please come back in at 9. And the reason why, because we're on page 95. And remember that after we reach page 103, we will go back because we completed all the chapters of all the major issues after 103, and we'll cover all the bookmark. Then we'll go into miscellaneous and administrative. So it'll wrap it up, and hopefully we'll be done tomorrow because we got to get this document as soon as possible over to legal. All right. So Senator Clint.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to stress the importance of us finishing tomorrow so we can allow legal to and everyone and the clerks to be able to engross the bill because we have to vote on it Monday. Also, I do not think we should work on Sunday. Sunday is the Lord's Day. Thank you, Mr. Chair. All
right, so let's work on this real solid tomorrow, my colleagues. And to the people of Guam, thank you. We'll recess until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Thank you, my colleagues. And the people of Guam, have a nice night and be safe, please. Drive safe.